mi madre, yo soy mexicano, por destino soy americano, yo soy de la raza de oro, yo soy México-americano.
I grew up also in a town where it had a strong history of Jim Crow, where if you knew you were Mexican, you didn't go into those neighborhoods to that restaurant. And even though I lived in the 80s, because of my grandparents and my parents, there were places you avoided because you knew they didn't treat Mexicans there at one time. There was restaurants that wouldn't serve you. Unfortunately, there was a theater that wouldn't seat Mexicans in the general area. They had to go upstairs, but that theater was torn down. So unfortunately, I grew up also in the 70s when the civil rights movement was starting to hit. I grew up in one thing that I did grow up in a neighborhood that was very affected by the civil rights movement and the Vietnam War. So we had black Muslims, we had the Chicano movement, we had anti-war things. So I grew up, a young kid, being mobilized by all this action. You know, it's about let's do something about something. And that impacted me to where I went to college. I still had the spirit of a revolutionary, like we had it called back then. And so I saw my need to go to college just another tool for me to come back and help my community. And I dedicated myself to the struggle. And I was really happy that the Guadalupe Center allowed me that opportunity. I always, I fell into the right place to meet my needs, my personal needs, to help things be better, but to address my participation in the Chicano movement and to make it a better Latino community.
Tu amor revolucionario me conduce a nueva empresa.
When I came to Kansas City, the people that got angry the most and who were out there protesting were protesting around schools. It hadn't been too long since they had closed West High School. And not only did they close it, they had promised the community they would have their own school. And the community got excited and invested in that. But then the district pulled away from that dream. And so people who felt like they had a dream that they had at one time, they got dropped. I knew that dream was out there somewhere. So I just basically, it wasn't my dream, it was other people's dreams who wanted a community school. Well, I was a social work student, and I had a friend who grew up like a block from the Guadalupe Center, and he told me he knew what I was doing in Topeka, where I was originally from, and he said, you gotta look at this center. So I came to visit, and I liked it. It reminded me of my center back home. And so when I got out of college, I had the opportunity to get a job here. Well, the first thing I did, I was a counselor with a program that was assigned here that helped kids go to college. And that's also where I started getting a little bit more into education, because I saw that it was very difficult to get our kids to go to college, so we needed to start with education. So Chris Medina said, well, you want to be our education person? And I said, yeah, I'll do it. And so I started doing education work. I didn't know what I was doing, but I started doing it then. We were basically an after-school program that worked with kids. We also got involved with early childhood, so we opened up a preschool.
Guadalupe Center Inc. is proud to announce the purchase of this new 15,000 square foot building to house most of their educational programs.
This gives us room to grow in, room to dream in. And that's what we're not used to that. And but this is going to be fascinating. We're going to try to offer as many things possible. We're going to try to be the best school in the whole country. But we want Alta Vista to be the school where kids come when they can't make it in the school system anymore, when they've dropped out. We encourage kids to stay in the schools that they are, to do what they can. Don't drop out, because that is a hard thing to do. But if you're in a situation where you're out of school, you need to come back, no one will take you, come to us.
And now we still got a long way to go, but we're starting to take this position that we can educate ourselves. And you just look at the west side now, we have kids going to college, we have institutions, we have a scholarship fund. Things are just a magnificent change and turnaround from when we came here 32 years ago. We got the data now to show that our kids are successful. We still have a long way to go, but at least there's somebody out there fighting for our kids, looking for resources for our kids, who believe in our kids, and that's the Guadalupe Center. My favorite programs, because they're all my favorite programs, because one of the beautiful things about the Guadalupe Center is that one program is not an island. Without the other programs for example, I'll give you the example. In the preschool, they need a preschool, but a family might need help with paying a bill sometime, or they might need food, or they might need a recreation. Well, we have sister programs that help make the preschool stronger. We're always been a program where one program needs the other program. We're a family. The family's name is Guadalupe. You might be a Bill, a Jose, or Joe, but we're all Guadalupe. And that's always been the strength of our programming. As we grew, sometimes one program might think they were more important or didn't need another one, but very soon they recognized, oh, we're not successful without this programming. And so that's one of the beautiful things about the program. I myself, by my nature, is that I've always had an interest in the young people.
Hi.
And so the early childhood care and the elementary schools and the high school, if it has something to do with kids, I love, because they're our future and we need the investment. But at the same time, the other program that I've always loved and I was a part of sometimes.
Hasta luego. Que Dios los bendiga. También a ti, joven bonito.
Was our program for our grandparents, our ancianos, because they're the ones in our culture. They're the elders. They're the ones that give us vision. But they're also the ones that help maintain tradition. And it's important that I'm part of an organization that recognizes that we're all generations and all ages.
Vienes quemando la brisa con soles de primavera.
The funniest, there's been many funny stories. I think the other thing about the Guadalupe Center is that we have a connection to people who have gone ahead of us. This building has a ghost, and we heard music on the top floor. And we're the only people in the building, so there should not be any music. And we also, on the third floor of this building, it used to be a convent, and they said there was a nun who had a terrible accident there. So I remember there were 6 of us in the basement. We heard the music. Some of us want to go up and see what it is, but most of us were scared. But we all had hammers in our hands in case a ghost would come down the stairs. But it was funny is that, it was like we wanted to go and see the ghost, but we were too afraid to go see the ghost. Yeah, Guadalupe is, to me, something that I would drive by there when it was just St. Paul's Academy. I go, it's a beautiful place in the inner city. It was an oasis, but I never thought that we were going to be there. I was part of the initial meeting when they were kind of thinking about it with the other organization that had the first plan, and I was walking out. I go, this would be so cool, but I didn't even think in my mind that was going to happen. And then when it happened, I go, man, this is just going to be the beginning of our new dream. And I was. Man, it just I was so happy when that happened, and I know this is going to be challenging. I was hoping it wasn't going to be a white elephant that we're all going to be supporting, but people that are making decisions are doing the right thing to make it financially successful. Now I hope that we can really reach out to that community and have them bring them into the community, into that church facility, which once a church facility, but. And make let's dream together, and not only with the Latino community over there, but with the African American community. There's a very strong Muslim community over there. I see in that vision, I see a more multicultural Guadalupe Center in the future. But that's the anchor for our new dream, for the new millennium for the Guadalupe Center.
La entrañable transparencia de tu querida presencia, comandante.
I think one of the most important roles the Guadalupe Center has done, and that I've recognized for 32 years, is that we're a place that gave people in our community the opportunity to be leaders. I've learned so much. But I've seen, like I mentioned earlier, Dr. Piscina, Chato Villalobos, John Fierro, Bernardo Ramirez, God, you can just go on in names of people that have come out of the Guadalupe Center and are now in roles of influence in the city that are impacting decisions and that make our community much, much better. And I think a lot of them, they had the chance to come here when they were young, when they were in their 20s and their 30s. This was a place that gives that opportunity. The African American churches and the African American community is the churches that they give that opportunity. Well, we're not all going to be priests. So this gives us the opportunity to be a place where we can develop our leadership skills and also commit and learn. And so that's, I think, that the big role of the Guadalupe Center is to be an institution to develop our future leadership.
Conduce a nueva empresa cuando siento la firmeza de tu brazo libertario.
It's important to know the history of the Guadalupe Center is because the Guadalupe Center is the history of this community. It's the group that the kids need to know about what challenges our parents, grandparents have faced. But at the same time, our kids need to know how they overcame those challenges and who helped them overcome those challenges. I think a lot of times people don't understand that, and I'll give you a perfect example, with no bitterness whatsoever. Over the many, many years of graduations from Alta Vista, I would say only a handful of kids have come up and said, thank you for helping us have this school. Basically, there's the assumption that that school has always been here, and that school wasn't always there. But I understand how kids think, and so I don't blame them at all. But the thing is that I recognize that we have to remember our history, because these things were not always here. And people get comfortable and they think, well, we'll do this. Or they expect things. And they expect things because they know someone might meet their needs. And they historically have met their needs. And I just think it's important that they know the Guadalupe Center has always been there, or at least since 1919, to try to meet their needs.
Para plantar la bandera con la luz de tu sonrisa, y aquí se queda la clave.
You want to do your projects. You don't stop and think about your health. It's about getting the proper rest, getting the proper nutrition, not to eat so much candy or drink so much sugar to keep you up. The stress, also, everything is not always smooth sailing. There's a lot of stress in this job. For many years, we also, especially some of us who had a family, we didn't get paid very much. We didn't have retirement, and a lot of us still don't have that. So the financial thing is, we're not thinking about it, but our families are putting pressures on us about, you need to earn more money, or are you sure you want that job? During the course of my career, I was offered many jobs to get paid more, but it wasn't what I wanted to do. And over the years, it took its, I didn't listen to my body. I was busy trying to just do things. And unfortunately, one day in 2012, I had a quadruple bypass because I had heart problems, heart attack. But the cool thing was that and this is the funny part, was that when I was recovering, I was negotiating with God. Please let me see a new school. And then he gives me that. And then I said, man, please let me see another school. So I'm always constantly negotiating with God. But it's this vision of the future, of what it's going to be like, that keeps me going. And I have this, sometimes, when I was going through, it was real painful. I said, you know what, maybe I'm ready to go. And maybe I'm not, and then sometimes I said, maybe I'm like the cucaracha you step on, but still keeps on going. And I said, you know what, there's still a reason to be around. There's still a reason to get better, to try to do more things, to keep yourself going. But it all was a wake-up call, because the sad thing is not the sad thing, but when you're in the hospital and laid up and you don't know if you're gonna make it to the next day or whatever, you do look back on your life. And now, I was very happy at that point with what I had accomplished. And I can go tomorrow and I'll be happy because I did what I wanted to do. And I recognize that many people never get that opportunity to make a change, to make an impact. Being real Mexican, I was going to, who's going to be at my funeral? How big is it going to be? So I had that little vision, but the thing was that I recognized, I've had a good go. And I have a good, in my mind, I look at the Guadalupe Center, I look at this building, I look at the campus. Man, I helped accomplish a lot of stuff with a lot of people. And I'm happy and I'm proud. I can go now. And I did what I had to do.
Che, che, che. I get the check.